Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this first impressions walkthrough of the Earth Bones Tarot. This is a deck that was created by Michaela of Alchemy Soul. I will have links to all of her social media and her website and all that good stuff down below. Michaela did send me this deck for review and we talked about it actually quite some time ago. I think at the time that we first talked about it, she was just nearing the end of stock for her first edition. She has since released a second edition. That is the version we're going to be looking at together today. But this is very much a nature and sort of earthy, obviously bone inspired deck. That sounded really obvious. I'm sorry for stating the obvious, but it's what came to mind. So we're going to dive into this deck and see what we think. This is really cool. So she sent it with this card. It has a lovely note on the back and it has this moth on the front. I love moths. I don't love them flapping their wings really close to me, but I like looking at them and I love art that depicts moths, so that's really cool and it definitely sets the tone for this deck, which I think is really cool. So again, thank you, Michaela. And can we talk about how like beautifully packaged this deck is? Look at this. So much thought. So we have this gorgeous pressed flower and I'm trying to be so careful. And can we just appreciate for a moment that this packaging, exactly as you see it here, arrived exactly like this in Canada. Like it had to go through International Postal Service. It got like chucked around, I'm quite sure. And look at how beautifully and safely it all arrived. I'm very impressed. I really want to save this flower. Okay, perfect. Yay. Okay, let's put her right there. Oh, I love that. There's also this little seal that looks like it has a crow on it. So I'm going to pick that off. Where do we put you? Well, let's put you over here with the flower. And I get to untie a thing. Oh, and there's more stuff. Oh my God. Okay. So there's also, this is so sweet. I want to do this carefully. You know what? We're going to use scissors because I don't trust myself not to wreck that. Taking it off. Okay. Oh, look at this. Okay. So this looks like seed paper. It's really super soft. Actually, you guys, this feels like she made this. This feels homemade. I actually went through a phase of paper making. Y'all, I'm a hobby squirrel. Have I mentioned that I'm a hobby squirrel? So that's really exciting. Okay, sorry. Let's read what she says here. Manifestation paper sample. This paper is handmade. Ha! Told you. With different herbs and intentions to help you manifest your goals. So maybe not seeds, maybe just herbs. Really lovely though. I remember this. Like, if you've never made paper, you can take existing papers essentially and you shred them up and you soak them in water and then you blend the heck out of them and then you put them through this like strainer and like press it, and it's a whole process, but it is such a cool way to do magic. And there was actually a time in my magical practice where I made my own herbal paper as part of my spell work. I don't have the time for that anymore, but I really appreciate this. Just brings me back so many memories to early days in my practice. Anyway, okay. And this paper is handmade with different herbs and intentions to help you manifest your goals. To use, write your manifestation or goal on this paper and then burn in a fire-safe dish or bury it. This paper breaks down so good in like a planter. Batch number 5, September 2020. Ingredients are hibiscus, calendula, sage, fig leaf, and love. Sermons from the 1800s. Oh, how cool is that? I have to say, I'm always in awe when people put all this kind of extra effort into their packaging. It just makes getting the deck such a special experience. Okay. Gosh. Okay. This time I was able to untie it. This is actually like a weighty deck. That's cool. All right. Also, can we talk about how fun it is to unwrap presents? Yes, I love unwrapping presents. Unwrapping presents is the best. I'm just going to tear. Are you guys a tear? Tell me in the comments down below. When you get a present, do you neatly like open it or do you like rip it open like a 5-year-old? I want to know. Super curious. She packaged this, like wrapped it really well. And then it's got bubble wrap. Oh, it's amazing. Okay. Put that in my recycling. All right. Look at that. And there is plastic to deal with on the box itself. So, little pro tip, if you want to avoid marking your box, watch me still mark my box. But for starters, don't use super sharp scissors. These are dull. But I like to go in wherever there's a little bubble of plastic. And I try to poke the scissors into that bubble so I'm away from the box. Usually once you get a little hole started, you're usually good. I think I still might have nicked it a little. I did nick it a little, so that was a terrible example. But depending on how you do it. Ooh, you guys, it's like rose petal finish box. Well, that's exciting. That explains why I still managed to mark it a tiny bit. Oh, that feels really good. Okay. I am a sucker for that feel. I love the rose petal feel. And I know it's like hit or miss. Some people like hate it, but I love it. So what does it say on the back here? It says, take your quiet thoughts and ponder. Take your intuition and your time. Sit and ask the deck your questions and find the answers deep inside. Buried within the bones and flowers is a secret waiting to be told. The guidance you have been searching for is within this deck you hold. Oh, gorgeous. Getting my fingerprints all over it, but it is like gorgeous, like copper, looks like etching on the sides. Rose petal finish. Oh, this is so pretty. And it is a magnetic flip open box, which I love. Then inside it says, the bones rested so gently, reminding that in the end, all that will be left of us is the earth and her bones. Wow, that is beautiful. Oh, they're pink. Okay, sorry. Having a moment. There you go inside. Looks like a snake skeleton, kind of. Do snakes have skeletons? Why do I feel like I should know this and I don't know this? They must, right? Do they have bones? Do snakes have bones? Somebody's going to be like typing this in the comments as I'm asking the question. Super curious. I'll probably Google it when I'm done with this video, but that's really cool. So we have a little white book, black and white with full images in grayscale of the deck, which is cool. We'll dive into that after we look at the cards. We have a plastic sleeve, and the cards themselves do not have rose petal finish, and I think a lot of you are going to be really happy about that, but they do have a nice smooth matte feel. And check out the copper gilding. How pretty is that? So this deck is very monochromatic. So on the backs, you have this gorgeous dusty rose. Again, we have this sort of snake with also the snake bones. Are snake bones a thing? That's going to really bug me. Okay, so I'm sure it must be, but there we go. And then on the flip side for the cards, they are this sagey green color with, it looks like just some botanical framing and a fairly simplified style of art where it really draws you into the center of the card. Let's see. I may actually do this walkthrough with the help of the guidebook, depending on how it's all written here. So let me just take a peek and see. Does it tell us what everything is? Okay, so it tells us about the herbs associated with each deck, or excuse me, each card. Does it tell us what kind of bone is in there? I don't think it does. Will they be obvious? I feel like some of them will be obvious. I'm just taking a look to see if it says. This talks about daffodil. For the Fool, it talks about daffodil as well as narcissus. But it doesn't tell me what kind of bones this is, and I don't automatically know what type of bone that is. So that would be the one thing. I'm not sure if it's going to tell us that throughout the deck or if it's going to focus on the botanical. I think it may. Huh. Okay, well, we will see as we go through the deck. I'm not sure if it's going to actually tell me, but I'm going to keep the guidebook over here in handy. We're going to zoom in and take a look at these gorgeous cards. I'm always in awe of anybody that can draw. I can't draw. I'm not even really a stick figure person. I can Zentangle a little bit. I can't even really properly doodle. It stresses me out. All right. So if you guys know any of these bones and you feel like sharing in the comments down below what you spot or things you notice about the deck as we go through, I would super appreciate that because I always love another perspective. So here we go. We're in the Fool, and the Fool is associated with daffodil. We have the Magician, which is associated with coffee. So I'm assuming that's what we're seeing in the corners of the cards here. And this is some kind of lizard, like a gecko maybe. It looks like it might be a gecko. Uh-oh. Which card? Oh, there we go. This is the High Priestess next. So we have an owl, and the High Priestess is lavender. There's sirens in the background. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully it's not too noisy. Then we have the Empress, and we have pomegranate, which I'm assuming are here in the corners as well. This looks like a cougar maybe, or a lioness. Ooh, fangs. So we have the Emperor, and we have oak. So those are oak leaves. We have the acorn. The Teacher instead of the Hierophant. And we have oleander. as the botanical. Oh, 2 swans, but one is gone. Oh, that's got feels. The lovers. And the lovers herb is southernwood. A moose. I'm sure that's a moose for the chariot. Guarana. Guarana is the botanical. Strength is echinacea. And this looks like a bull, which makes sense for strength, yeah. Oh, the hermit. Is that like a little wombat? What is that? Yarrow. It doesn't say. I really wish it said in the guidebook what the different animal energies were. Because I feel like that's a whole piece that if you're not really good at identification, you may not get. I'm almost tempted to go through the guidebook and like make notes once I know who everybody is. Ooh, Wheel of Fortune, and we have a rabbit's foot. I think that's going to be a difficult card for some. The botanical here is bay. I mean, it makes sense. It is an accurate representation of the Wheel of Fortune, both from the concept of luck, which is the traditional way a rabbit's foot was used, but also as not being so good luck for the rabbit, right? This idea that what comes up must come down, and that sometimes you're the rabbit, you know what I mean? And sometimes you're the person with the rabbit's foot. I hope that made sense. Morbid, but I hope it makes sense. Justice. Again, I wish I knew what creature this was. I feel like there's going to be people, though, who are going to be so good at recognizing the animal skulls, and I'm just not very good at that. So Morning Glory is the botanical. Ooh, that's a bat for the Hanged Man for sure. And that is ginkgo. Ginkgo is interesting because I see ginkgo, at least my understanding of ginkgo or ginkgo biloba is it's like a very energizing herb, which is interesting in the Hanged Man. What does it say here? A different perspective calls to you now. Are your eyes wide open as you hang from the bough? You are here by choice. You need to just see. It's crystal in front of you. It will set you free. Oh, interesting. There's like little poems. Is the whole thing a poem? It goes on. Sometimes it is necessary to get a new perspective on problems within our lives. If you're dealing with struggle or stress, call on the wisdom of the bat and turn things upside down to get a new view on the situation. Ginkgo helps with clear vision, and so too it can help you clear your preconceived notions of how things are supposed to go. So it's focused more on the perception idea or perspective idea. So it does mention the bat in that way, but in the previous card, which is Justice, it doesn't reference the animal at all. So I think it's going to be luck of the draw, kind of whether the animal is mentioned or not. So then we have Death, Dandelion. This actually makes me think of, there's another deck, I think it's called the Marigold Tarot, that has like a very simple layout as well. Having a sip of my beverage there. So Dandelion, this is a human skull. Temperance, we have the elephant, and this doesn't look like bones here. So that's another thing that's interesting. I feel like we have samples of life, and then we also have death throughout the deck. And this has got sweetgrass as its botanical. The Devil, these are goat, like mountain goat skulls, I believe. And the Devil is Lily. The Tower. Again, here we have, a bird that's been struck, and this is Thistle. The Star, this is a gazelle, I think it is. Lemongrass. Oh, no, antelope. And this one does reference it. The antelope is aware of the world around even when it sleeps. There's our moth with the Luna moth, the moon. And the botanical here is jasmine. Oh, jasmine is one of my favorites ever. The sun, we have a serpent. And the botanical is sunflower. I wish these sunflowers were a little more prominent on the card because they don't look as sunflowery. Like if you see a sunflower, it's usually big and vibrant. I almost wish the sunflower was here where the sun is on this image. Judgment. Juniper. I don't know what creature this is. Does it say? I wish it said on every card. Nope. Talks about juniper but does not talk about the animal. Some kind of wolf or maybe, I don't know. And the world, peppercorn. So now we are into, I'm assuming the wands food. Nope, it says jars. So I'm assuming this is going, and there's a fish there. So I'm assuming this is going to be cup suit. So let's see. Yes, the jar suit. So the suit of jars corresponds with the element of water and relates to the inner emotions of the heart, love, joy, and sorrow. So here we have the Ace of Jars, the Two of Jars. And so we're focused throughout this suit, it looks like, on botanical. Does it tell us? Let's see. Let's see if the guidebook addresses it. No. So I don't know if this is supposed to be a particular botanical. We definitely see the betta fish throughout this suit. But no mention of, like, if this is, it almost looks a little bit like rosemary to me, but I don't know if it's meant to be rosemary. So the two, so very kind of pippish through the minors. The Three of Jars, it looks like we have daisies, roses, and is that baby's breath maybe? I don't know. The Four of Jars. Interesting how the jars are all covered up. So this is interesting. So like in the Three of Cups, we would see three figures, each bringing something a little different to the table. So I feel like that definitely shows in this artwork, the way each one is a different type of flower. Each brings a different energy. In the Four of Jars, the fact that the jars are all covered up speaks to like almost like protecting them from collecting dust. That definitely speaks to the meaning of the card. The Five of Jars with three broken and two still remaining. I think that really works for Rider-Waite Smith. The Six of Jars and this like work table. Here we have like a baking area, which of course speaks to childhood and nostalgia and memories. The Seven of Jars, and we have all of these jars in the sky, all dumping sort of their contents out. Very daydreamy. The Eight of Jars, lots of different things to choose from. That's interesting. But, oh wait, that Eight of Jars. Wait, 7 is going to be our choice card. 8 is going to be like walking away from things that maybe don't serve us anymore. And this whole top shelf is all dusty and cobwebby. Okay, I get it. The 9 of Jars, this emotional contentment. Big jars, and they're getting ready to can. Looks like some fresh fruit. So there's an idea of bounty here that works. The 10 of Jars, and having just lots of different botanicals and herbs stored for the winter. That totally works for the 10 of Cups. That idea of sort of completion and wholeness. Then we have the Page of Jars, which is that betta fish again. The Knight of Jars, this little snail. The Queen of Jars with the roses. And the King of Jars with the crystal inside the jar. Very direct, like sort of line work here, where it's really trying to speak directly to the message without a lot of clutter in the cards. So now we're into the petals, and I'm assuming this is going to be the Suit of Earth. Let's just check the guidebook. And in the guidebook, by the way, through the minors, you basically have a page that has 4 groupings of 4, and then little messages on the left. And these are little mini poems as well. Yeah, so jars. Petals is the element of air and relates to the material world weight. The suit of petals corresponds with the element of air and relates to the material world of finances in the physical body. So that's confusing to me because I typically would have associated earth as the element that relates to the material world of finances in the physical body. So I'm a little thrown by it saying it's air. So let's just see what the other suits are, because it does look very pentacles-y. Crystals corresponds to the element of earth and is related to reason, the mind, and logic. And I feel like those should be reversed. And then wicks is for fire and relates to creativity and motivation. So to me, I feel like the earth and the air element are swapped. And this could be that this is what resonates with the creator. Well, obviously, this is what resonates with the creator. But I would find this very confusing. Full disclosure, because I do see the earthly suit as being about... I would see this as the earthly one, but there's obviously air here. So right away, that is probably going to be a deal breaker for me personally, just because I'm so attached to my elemental associations that anything that kind of mixes and matches those does tend to end up being a bit of a deal breaker for me personally. But let's go through the cards. So we have the Ace of Petals here. Yeah, this is very swordsy with the balance. Growth. Protection or rest. But again, I'm trying to, do I look at this as swords, or this looks like swords card with the decision making or weighing options, or no, but then again, in pentacles, it would be the balance. Oh, I'm so confused. Okay, let's look at it as if it's pentacles. Okay, so if this was the Two of Pentacles, this makes sense to me because you're trying to balance out two aspects of your material world or your finances. In the Three of Pentacles, we normally see collaboration, and here we have a a hummingbird, or excuse me, a pollinator. This is a bumblebee who is working on pollinating the flowers. There's a cooperation and a teamwork there. In the Four of Pentacles, this is the Four of Petals. So again, this is saying it's air as the elemental association. But if this were earth, that four is about holding on to what you have. But there's an idea here of if you hold too tightly, things can wilt and not receive what they need. Yeah, this very much works for Pentacles imagery to me. The Five of Petals, if I'm looking at this as the earthly suit, very much about loss and going through a hard time here. The Six, getting help again. The Seven, yes, nurturing and waiting for things to grow. The Eight, if it's the Eight of Pentacles, there's this idea of mastery. The Nine, and we have enjoying our harvest or enjoying our wealth. And full bounty with the 10. Then we have the Page, which is seeds. That totally works. The Knight is the greenhouse. The Queen is the rabbit. This totally works for Pentacles. And the King is this gorgeous big plant that is, it looks like receiving or sending off its seed, it looks like. Yeah, that makes sense. So of course, the kind of wealth that proceeds from generation to generation, we have the King who is reseeding a new generation. So now we're into crystals. Now this is supposed to be the earthly suit and is supposed to be about intellect and the mind, but I'm going to read this as if this were swords because I feel like that's where the associations are going to match up. We'll see. So Ace of Crystals. Yep. Decision making here with the snake. That's very Three of Swords for sure. Four of Swords with the Four of Crystals. This again totally works, this idea of a spider taking a rest while he's waiting for the next fight, the next bit of prey. The Five of Swords or Five of Crystals, we have this sort of fierce tiger energy happening. Ooh, cord cutting with the Six. But this really works because in the Six of Swords, we're really breaking free from our past, or we're trying to. The Seven of Swords. Uh-oh. Looks like he got something he maybe wasn't supposed to. There's definitely that trickster kind of energy there. The Eight of Swords, or Eight of Crystals. And this idea of feeling trapped, but this is a bird. He can fly away. The Nine of Crystals, or the Nine of Swords with the eye there, definitely speaks to fear, being wide awake, sleepless nights. And the 10 with this flag totally stabbed. Yeah, this is very swords. Page of Crystals. Knight of Crystals, yes, very Knight of Swords. Queen of Crystals, the bear, absolutely. And King of Crystals with this giant bumblebee. Yes. Okay, so while the guidebook does say that this is the that this is the air, oh my gosh. Why am I so confused? Okay, so it says that the petals is the suit of air, but is related to the material. This feels very Pentacles and earth to me. And the crystals, especially with their sort of stabby points, is supposed to be earth and the intellect, but I think you could read this as your sword suit if you were going by RWS associations. And Ace of Wicks for the fire suit. Two of Wicks. Oh, interesting, like dripping wax onto a letter to seal it. That's cool. Three of Wicks, we've sort of in the process of creating new candles with the wax dipping method there. Four of Wicks, a table is set, so that's very RWS. Five of Wicks, all the moths competing for the flames. That totally works. Six of Wicks, we have this champion horse. Seven of Wicks with the bull ready to fight. Yeah, these are very RWS meanings when you start to really think about the images. The Eight of Wicks with this fast-moving energy. The Nine of Wicks. The 10 of Wicks. The Page with this egg about to hatch. The Knight. The Queen. And the King. All right, let's see how these shuffle. I'm going to zoom us back out, and then we'll take another quick look at the guidebook, and I'll share some final thoughts. So I do think this artwork is really well thought out. I do have that issue with the the earth and the air element being kind of mixed up from what I'm used to. That doesn't make it invalid as an association. It's obviously valid to the creator, and that's perfect. And there's going to be people that really resonate with that. I'm just not going to be one of them as far as that elemental association. But if I'd never read that in the guidebook, I would have assumed petals were earth and crystals were air just by the way the art was depicted. This shuffles beautifully, as you can see. Lovely quality, good matte cardstock, and this is not the kind of gilding that like sticks together or feels uncomfortable to touch. It doesn't wrap around the cards or anything like that. I'm also, as you guys know, a huge fan of bright pops of color. So aesthetically, this deck is probably not one that's really ultimately meant for somebody with my tastes. That being said, I could see this really allowing you to slow down and take in the different images and really think through what each card means to you. I do wish that the little white book had some kind of guide on every card of not only what the botanical was through the majors, but also what all the bones were, even where it's obvious, because like this, I can tell that this is probably a moose, but if you don't know moose, you might not know that. And then it just gives you, I think, more to chew on and work with. I do also wish that I knew for sure if this was like meant to be pine or rosemary through the minors, or that we had more like here. This looks like maybe lavender in the page of jars, or the page of cups. I wish there was some part of the guidebook for every card that just was a quick key to which things you see represented in the card symbolically, but that's a personal taste thing. Like I wish I knew for sure which animal that was. That's a tiger. Or is it? Yeah, that's a tiger. A koi. But like I just wish I knew, because I feel like there's this extra layer you can dive into when you're working with what the natural energies are that are represented. Like here, I feel like I should know what this creature is. And it's just not coming to me right now while I'm looking at the cards. So food for thought. But this is the Earth Bones Tarot, the 2nd edition. And again, this is by Michaela Sargent. And this is Alchemy Soul on all social media. I will have links down below so that you can check out her social media and also check out her, I think she has this available on Etsy. So I'll have a link to her shop and all that good stuff down below, so you can take a look at this deck when you have some time to peek at it and see what you think. I'm always curious to hear what you guys think of these decks that I share on my channel. So please do leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. And I look forward to hearing from you guys about your opinion on this particular deck. Is this one you plan to scoop up? Let us know. Remember to please like this video if you enjoyed my walkthrough. Please subscribe if you're new here so that you can see my videos showing up in your YouTube subscription feed. Click the little bell to be notified of my future content and my live streams. And remember, if you want to book a reading, you can do that over at supportivetarot.com. Thank you so much, and may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye, guys.